Hello, good day, and here's a quick audio note on how anxiety works on autopilot and prevents us from doing the great things that we want to do with our life. And let's do that using a metaphor. And we're doing this with a metaphor because one, it's easy and interesting for me to narrate. It's pretty easy and interesting for all of you to listen to and also visualize as against raw theory. So let's get cracking. Let's say I'm walking on the terrace of my house and I suddenly feel like doing something with my phone. Let's say I want to rewind the audiobook that I'm listening to by 30 seconds, or I want to check a message and respond to it because I suddenly remembered. So I fish my phone out, and because I'm glued to the phone, I'm not aware of what's in front of me on the floor. I'm not paying attention to the ground. So I, let's say, stumble against a brick. Now, obviously, I'm stumbling, but I'm not falling. And let's say I'm gripping my phone a little loosely. It's not very well held. So the phone pops out of my hand and it is falling down onto the ground. So what do? In the split second that I lost the phone, I have evaluated that I cannot stick my hand out and catch it, or I'm not so agile that I can dive and catch the phone. So I instinctively stick my foot out a few inches above the floor. What that does is, it doesn't prevent the phone from falling down, but instead of the phone falling all the way from 4.5 feet with the force of gravity, hitting the ground hard and probably breaking to the point where I need to replace it, it lands on my foot, which is definitely much softer, and it just turns around and falls a few inches down to the ground. And maybe there's going to be a scratch on the body, but there's no screen damage or much worse of phone damage, right? But the phone is still on the ground, okay? So what does this have to do with anxiety on autopilot? Right? Let's understand the elements involved in this metaphor before we actually go into how this works. Right? The phone, the most important part, the one that fell and the one that was stopped, is us. Right? It's me, it's you, it's every one of us. Now, what part of us is it? It is the self-esteem part, right? How valuable or how much esteem I hold myself in, how good I think I am, how worthy do I think I am, how competent do I think I am, right? That is what the phone represents here, right? My self-evaluation. The event of whatever my trying to do something with the phone which led to it falling is my attempting something in real life. Let's say I have a great idea for a book, I want to start writing it. Let's say I want to make a friend, or let's say I want to start a business. That is my act of pulling the phone out and starting to do something with it. Right? The act of stumbling, in this case, is a mental block that I have. Right? Something that is within me, which tells me, no, which is stopping me. Right? We'll look at that in a while. And the act of the phone falling down, the very fall, represents the emotional overwhelm that's associated with such an incident, right? So that is where the phone is falling. I'm emotionally overwhelmed. I have overwhelming feelings of worry, of fear, of advance shame and advance guilt. Why am I saying advance? Because obviously I have not even started doing it. I have not started writing the book. Sorry, I have not even said hi to the person that I think I want to be friends with. I have not started that business, and yet I already believe that I will fail in all of this. Right? I'm not going to be a good enough friend, or I'm going to be rejected by that person. Or when I write the book, people are going to laugh at it. It's going to bomb, or the business is going to fail so miserably that I'll be left without any money. I'm already believing and running all these scenarios in my head, which is the act of that phone falling and my feeling emotionally overwhelmed. Right? And so I already feel guilty. I already feel ashamed. I already feel worried about all the consequences. I'm already afraid of what will happen. All right. And what is this instinctive act of sticking my foot out? Let's say we are given to being anxious about everything, right? That comes from our conditioning. Let's say our parents were very critical and micromanaging, or our peers were very unkind to us and very critical, right? And things like that, right? So when that happens, we typically start believing that it is better to criticize ourselves, or it is better to stop ourselves from doing this so that the world around us doesn't criticize. That is how anxiety comes in. We are always very vigilant about failure. We are always biased towards believing that we will fail, and we always believe things will fail. So When this happens, what do? I instinctively stick my foot out. What is the mind's metaphorical foot? It is the self critical thoughts that we all have. You're useless. You're not good enough. You're worthless. You will fail. Right? You're not going to make that friend, so on and so forth. Right? So, when all of that happens, what we instinctively do is we stick our foot out, we break the fall, and we say, instead of the world criticizing you, instead of others laughing at you, let us do it at ourselves and stop doing what we are doing. But does that really help? Momentarily, yes, we feel a sense of relief. We feel calm. We feel that we have averted insult. We feel that we have averted further damage to our self-worth or self-esteem. But what we have done is, instead of others doing it to us for a real failure, we have done it to us for an imagined failure. We've not even failed, like I said. We have not even started. For all we know, that business could be successful. Myself and the other person could be great friends, or that book could go on to become a blockbuster. But then I've never even tried. I'm already believing, because of how I have been conditioned to believe over the years, that I am destined to fail. Okay, so what can we take away from this metaphor? The next time we feel anxious, what we can do is we can ask ourselves, is the phone falling? Am I gripping it well enough? Right? And is it better for me to learn to stick my foot out, which is to be defensive and be critical? Or can I learn to grip the phone better, which means can I evaluate it much better? Or can I build the skills necessary? Or can I ask myself if I really have the skills to do things well? Right? Instead of letting the phone fall, can I say, if I'm doing this, can I place that phone on a table so there is not even the possibility that it will fall if I'm gripping it loosely? Or if that phone is already on firm ground, I can ask myself, is this phone even going to fall? And I'll say, no, obviously not. Right? And this gives us a way to visually look at our anxiety, to use this metaphor as an equivalent of what goes on within our mind, because it is impossible to visually evaluate what is in our mind. For this, I'll give you an example. Let's say, instead of the phone, there is a book that is on a shelf that is at about 8 foot, which is 2 feet higher than my height. We pull that book out and book begins to fall. Because this is all in the physical space, I know that I can still stick my hand out and catch the book. Now, what if it's not a book, it's a tall vase, right? I can still try to catch it, but if it is, I'm not going to be able to catch it. I still evaluate whether I need to stick my foot out, because if it's a heavy vase, I'm going to break my leg also. So what I say is, let the vase break, I can replace it, but not my foot. Right? So we are able to make all these judgments, and we don't feel bad, and it doesn't become a habit, because it is in the physical world. It can be seen, felt, perceived, and experienced as it is. But in the mental space, there are no such coordinates. The mind doesn't know the difference between something falling from 4 feet, metaphorically, and something falling from 8 feet. The mind doesn't have a different leg and a different hand. So what it does is, it falls back to familiar patterns, which is self-criticism, self-judgment, avoidance, and all those things. So the next time when something like this happens, let us use this metaphor to map that experience to something physical that we can visualize, so that we can objectively analyze the situation and go ahead and take a chance, because there is nothing worse than self-criticism. I hope this was useful. Thank you.